Heidi ho, everyone, and welcome aboard. It is Hump Day, and a happy Hump Day to you, wherever you may be on God's green earth. Um, Hang on a sec. That's a bit better. Sorry about that, guys. A couple of things. Firstly, I'm just keeping my eye on Swissy Yen. We entered this trade this morning in my group, and it's very near to TP1, but hasn't quite got there. TP1's just below here at 116.72. So I'm just keeping my eye on that at the moment. But it doesn't look like it wants to go there right now at this very second. So let us move on. Welcome to you all. As I said, happy hump day to you. It is education day. I'm going to go through day trading basically as a thing, as an entity, and how I approach it. Of course, there are many ways to trade the markets: intraday, end of day, position size, whatever. My method is simply one of them, and I'm getting a few questions about that recently, so I thought I'd better share it with you. In particular, I think Steffi asked the question, how does she go about it? And I'm going to show you my method a little bit later. A concise version of it, I might add, but nonetheless a version. Okay. Hi, Steffi. How you doing? Yeah, we'll go through that a little bit later for you in the main section, I think. In this section of the show, I'm going to go through a few things which really probably will set up exactly how I do look at the markets and why I do what I do, and how I actually set the day up. So we'll go through that. And as I say, in the main session, we'll convert that into trading, basically. I want to update the trades that I am in at the moment, and we'll do that very shortly as well. But first up, let's take a look at... No, actually, let's go through that first. Let's do the trade updates. Those of you who are in, you will probably note that I've managed these trades a little bit. Euro Aussie was the first one, I think, that we entered. And we are now past TP2, and I've moved my stop loss down to just above the weekly pivot and that big candle there yesterday. That's the daily chart that we're looking at. Interesting, this one, because we're now consolidating bang on that level that we isolated earlier, which of course is the bottom of this range. That is a very long-term range that has been false broken so many times to the downside. One big one there, of course, was what's that called, that thing, COVID-19. That's where that all started to happen. And interestingly enough, as soon as COVID-19 reaction settled down, we've gone straight back into that pretty much exact same range. Little poke beneath it. Is this yet to be another false out? Potentially, and more than likely, I would imagine. But there is still some room down to this horizontal level, which is, what, 159? So we're nearly 200 pips above that at the moment, and that's why I just wanted to give this a little bit of breathing space rather than take the whole lot off at the bottom of that range. So Euro Aussie, we're still in that one, doing well. Euro Swissy is another one that we're in, also doing okay, but has had a little bit of a pullback since we took our second profit down near the bottom of that range. I have done a similar thing here and kept my stop loss very wide. It is underneath entry, of course, but well above the monthly pivot, which I believe will probably hold price for some time. And we may be just fleeing around here for quite some period. That said, there is, again, a secondary level underneath this one where we've had a big false break of that range that we've been in since August, July. And of course, we've bounced off the top of that again. It's gone straight down to the bottom, which is what we anticipated might happen. And then we've swung straight back off the bottom of it. This, of course, the monthly pivot, as I said, may well be our, I won't say savior, because we can only win on this. It's just a matter of how much. but I'm anticipating a potential bounce here and re-break of this range. You can see the big triple top that's sitting there. That's why I'm keen on just staying in this and seeing if we can get down to that level there, around about 106, or maybe in here 106.50-ish, that area there. So that's the management on that one. The third trade we're in is Aussie Kiwi. Aussie Kiwi is looking pretty strong now, and we're very happy to be in this, I've got to say. We have gone well above entry now, anticipating top of range around about the 108.35 mark, something like that, and maybe even testing the highs. That's what I'm anticipating. Again, we've taken 2 lots of profit on this one. And our stop loss is just underneath the weekly pivot, which is about where I would like it to be, maybe a little bit deeper. But if we do get back to the weekly pivot, I'll only be looking for more entries on that anyway. Trend line has been broken. Probably expecting a retest of that at some stage. I hope not. I'm hoping the weekly pivot will do the job here. There's probably another trend line up here that we haven't reached yet. And that's probably where I'd be anticipating a bounce. So to here, then back to here somewhere. Hopefully the weekly pivot will hold it up, and we'll see how that goes. And the other one I've just pointed out to you is Swissy yen, which I've just lost. There it is. And it just refuses to give me a TP1. I'm starting to think that if that's not going to happen, then something else will, and that something else won't be a good thing. So I'll be watching this very, very closely. If it does get back to entry, I may just close the trade. But I'm looking for a TP1 just above DS1 at 116.72. Rightio. So I'll go to what's happening today. We're going to trade potentially the FOMC breakout trade. Some of you would be aware of that. I'll step you through for those of you who aren't aware of what that is. Steffi, hang on 2 seconds and I'll get to that. The FOMC breakout, yeah, I'll go through that just before we go into the US session, and then I'll set it up as a trade just before we close the session later on in 2 o'clock-ish my time, which is 11 o'clock your time in Singapore and Hong Kong, and 3 p.m. in London. So the weekly pivot, right? Let me explain what the weekly pivot is. So we've got, I'll just do this very, very simply. I won't go through it in depth because we just haven't got really time to do that. But the pivots are pretty much an average. We'll call it an average of the previous day, if you like. So if you, I think, open, high, low, and close is what we're looking for. And it's an average of those 3 numbers, which gives you the daily pivot, right? That's where the daily pivot lives. The weekly pivot is exactly the same thing on the previous week. So last week, the weekly pivot was here, which would have been an average of the previous week's high, low, and close. And the weekly pivot this week will change next week as a result of this week's high, low, and close. So it's an average of those 3 numbers, basically. It is the white line you see on here, and it is denoted by the letters WP, and the daily pivot is DP, and the monthly pivot is MP. Pretty much, and just Google it anywhere, you'll find out the technical description of it. But the easiest way to explain it to you is it's an average, pretty much, of the previous day in the terms of the daily pivot, or an average of the previous week in terms of the weekly pivot, and so on and so forth for the month. DS1 is the support level, and you'll find the distance between DR1 and DS1 will be the range, pretty much the range of yesterday's trading. And that is where they nominate the support levels and the resistance levels, which is a very, very important thing for me, as I will explain a little bit later on. when we go through that day trading thing for you, Steffi. Okay, so I hope that's enough information for now on that. As I say, I won't go through too much of it. Now, I've left the pound and the euro out of my calculations this week because of what's potentially going to happen in Brexit, potentially was going to happen before the week, and I really don't know where we're up to, and I don't care, to be honest, until it happens. When it does happen, I'll look to do something different, but in the meantime, I'm looking to keep them out of my calculations. Let me have a look at what's happening in the wonderful world of numbers and releases. I think it's on there somewhere. Forex Factory, there we go. And it culminates, of course, today with the FOMC statement, as I said, and we're going to look to show you how to trade that as a breakout trade, and I'll do that a little bit later as well. Numbers today, all green, apart from one, which is the services PMI, the flash services PMI out of UK, but everything else pretty good. And it's all Euro-centric, basically. You would expect the euro to be having a field day on, well, not so much a field day, but a good day on those numbers. And I think versus the US dollar, it probably is. Not sure how it's going against everything else, apart from the two that I'm trading it against, which is the Swissy and the Euro Swissy, Euro Oz. I think I'm trading it against them, or not. I think they're the two I've got from memory. I tried Euro Kiwi yesterday. We might have a look at that trade a little bit as well. So you would expect that the euro is not going to weaken on those numbers anyway, and potentially the pound also not going to weaken on those numbers. We'll see how that looks on the charts. News coming out in what, 3 minutes time. That's getting very, very close. On, why is that then? Well, it is. Okay. Just before the market, an hour before the market opens in the US. Very, very interesting why they release those numbers then, I don't know, but they do. And we're looking at retail sales forecast to be down on the previous, and that could be interesting. Let's see, can the US dollar stand or withstand anything more? Didn't take a trade in my favorite pair. Lewis, how did you miss it? I didn't. You mean pound Kiwi or which one? Euro CAD, pound Kiwi, Euro CAD probably. So yeah, let's have a look and see what those numbers produce. It's very, very difficult to be bullish the US dollar as far as I'm concerned, but there's always that chance that it has reached, or the support level that is currently at, may give us a little bit of a bounce. I believe it's going a little bit further before that bounce is expected from my point of view. Pound Kiwi, right? No, I haven't. I'm not in it. I'm waiting until it gets back into that range, Lewis. Maybe a bit late, but who sees? We'll see. And of course, the manufacturing numbers continue today out of the US, and that is an hour and 47 minutes away now. Righto, and then of course the big one, FOMC statement, not expected to be a change in fund rates, of course. The press conference follows at half an hour after that, and I'm hoping to be able to set a trade on that particular occurrence. Hopefully it will move the market substantially, and we'll be able to take advantage of that. Kiwi in the morning, GDP figures out there, and of course tomorrow, big numbers for the Aussie. This may pull it back a bit. We'll see. If that unemployment rate were to go up, then you'll see the Aussie pull back, I would think. Not so much the number here that's expected to be poor based on the previous, but if the unemployment rate were to be 7.1, 7.2, or 7.3, for instance, you will see the Aussie retrace. And that's what I'm hoping for, because I'd like to get into it long, and I'm not at the moment. Also out tomorrow, another central bank delivering another two central banks, as a matter of fact, delivering their statements. That, of course, is the Swiss National Bank and the Bank of England. That should have an interesting effect on the market as well. Both of those should have an interesting effect on the market. See how they're going to handle it and what they're looking for going forward out of this COVID scenario that is very, very dire, of course. And if that wasn't enough, there's one more on Friday. The yen will also, or the Japan Bank of Japan will also release its monetary policy statement. So it's a big week or big culmination of what has been a quiet week to date, but numbers flying left, right and centre. It is the last data release, well, important data release week of the year. So let's see if we can find some trades around that. I think waiting till those released are probably a reasonable idea, but the FOMC one I'm particularly interested. I might even have a look at tomorrow the pound with that monetary policy summary as well. We shall see. All right, moving forward, I did want to show you how I actually set my day up. Just have a sip of my tea. And this is in response. Actually, let's have a look at pound Kiwi first. See what I'm missing. Oh, big gap in the market. How did that work? On a 4-hour chart. Oh, that would be that news that we just looked at, yes? Pound news. When was that? Shut up. So they did like that number, obviously, and the pound has rallied and gapped on the back of that, one would assume. Yeah, look, Lewis, I'm not going to get into this with COVID and not with COVID, with Brexit hanging over our heads and a potential an announcement on that. And this is the reason, because it's up and down like father's pants, as I say. It's not an easy thing to trade at the best of times. But at the worst of times, when you've got stuff like this going on, that, of course, is over the weekend. Why can't I see the gap here? That's interesting. Maybe I was seeing things. How bizarre. There must have been a candle not filled in. Oh, it's the weekly chart. That's why. Okay, sorry guys. It was the gap on Monday that I was looking at. So yeah, I'm not willing to trade this whilst Brexit is going on, nor am I willing to trade it until it gets back into that range. The only thing that I can see here is downside, and too risky to trade for mine. So not for me. How often the gaps get filled? Well, they say, Steffi, they always get filled. But that's not true. I think there's still gaps on the euro dollar from 5 years ago. Don't ask me to find them. But the general consensus is that gaps always get filled. And, you know, to be fair, the vast majority do. The problem, of course, with gaps, and it's why I hate them, and it's the same with everything else, really. When? Tomorrow? Next 30-minute candle? Next week? Who knows? And that's why they're dangerous, because you know that the potential for them to fill is quite high, but you really don't know when that's going to be. The only thing you can do is follow market sentiment, I suppose, and see where that leads you. But at the end of the day, they spook me. I don't like them at all for that reason. They're very uncertain things. Can I share the trade again? On what one, Subra? Which pair, mate? I'm not sure which one you mean. Give me a pair and I will share with you, no problem. Swiss yen has come back to entry. That's what I didn't want to happen. Just let me have a look at that, guys. Yeah, it's fleeing around like no tomorrow, isn't it? Didn't quite get there again. That's where it's very, very difficult to be talking to you guys and trying to take profit at the same time. It's very, very difficult. Missed by a pip by the look of it. Yep. Okay. That's why you need a trade manager sometime. Swissy yen, the trade is why the trade? Okay. Trading on a 4-hour chart. And essentially, well, it goes deeper than that. And this is, very much a part of how I work. On the monthly chart, it's very, very clear to me that this level is super strong. It is a cloud of a price, and that's the issue, of course. But I'm calling it 117, right? I think the level is, pardon me, 117. It's a whole number, and we keep rejecting it and have done so apart from this. Where was this? 2005. This is Brexit. That, of course, is the decoupling there of the Swissy to the euro. And of course, the market went into hyperplexion at that point and then came back and then went into a range that we haven't really got out of yet. But 117 appears to be the number that is spooking buyers. And for that reason, I have a bias to the short side. I've got a key reversal bar on the weekly. I've got a key reversal bar on the daily. This one here. What's a key reversal bar? Those of you who haven't been in the room when I've described this, key reversal bar is a bar that puts in a new high based on the previous bar. Okay, so it's not a new high based on a swing; it's a new high based on the previous candle. So it's put in a new high, and then it's closed on or near its low. That's the objective part. On or near its low. Doesn't matter if it's white or black, the candle doesn't matter, as long as it's closed on or near its low. Once you see that, that is an indication to me that this market is going this way. And in particular, if we're coming off a resistance level or if we're following a primary trend. Well, I don't see a primary trend here, frankly. Maybe it's long, if anything, but I really don't see a primary trend at the moment. So therefore, I'm willing to trade it off resistance. And when I see that key reversal bar, I immediately go into high alert. And we got another one on the daily, again coming off resistance, and even better, showing as a potential lower high. So that's why I'm looking very, very much to trade this short. Now, when I look at a lower high, I'm looking for a white bar, right? I'm not looking for a black bar. So I can't trade that bar per se. Otherwise, I would have put my entry underneath there and my stop loss there. But on the 4-hour chart, what I do see is, well, I won't call that a bearish engulfing bar, but it's certainly a big seller. There's no question there, off a lower high, right? Broke both the daily pivot yesterday and the weekly pivot and came back and retested that, giving me a double cross of the weekly pivots, not the first one, which is not ideal for me because I like to trade the first double cross of those pivots, not the subsequent double crosses. So it's not perfect, but it is good because it also broke this trade line, broken, retested. So it's a clear A, B, C scenario for me. But as you've just witnessed, I've missed TP1 by 1 pip here, and that generally sends me into a defensive mode. And pardon me, I'm very seriously considering closing that position now. Now I'm in a small losing position. The thing that stops me doing that is we are still underneath the weekly pivot. And until we're above there, I think this is still valid. So I'll just leave it in there for now and probably manage that a little bit later on. So is that good for you, Subra? Now you know, Swissy yen, that's the setup and they are the parameters. If you're not in it and wish to do so, there is still time to do that, but I don't like what price action is doing, I've got to say. Cool. Watch list. Haven't done watch list. Aussie Swissy, for the same reasons as I just gave you on Swissy yen, I'm also looking to trade Aussie Swissy short. Now, the Aussies had a pretty big run, but as you can see against the Swissy, it's gone into consolidation again below a major level or a key level, which is, of course, this support area here, this support area here, this resistance area here. Now, it's true that the more a level is tested, the more you expect, or the market will expect it to break. Now, and that's fine. And if it does, it's no harm, no foul to me, unless, of course, I've got an order in the market already triggered. But I don't. But I'm very, very keen to trade this. You can see the confluence of trade line, horizontal level, top of range, and strong resistance. So, that's why I'm looking to trade that short, but it has to set up for me. I don't just trade levels, I trade setups. Now, that may change, by the way. I'm actually working on this, and if I had more time, I'd work on it far more than I am at the moment, looking at trading levels. But this is a bit of a scalp, if you trade it from here, well, I'd be considering that to be a scalp if I just entered the market here. So I really do need a setup, and that setup for me is generally going to be a lower high. And that bar right there does interest me, I've got to say. I am considering trading that. I would have to get my entry below this bar here. And again, you can see the price action has just gone to sleep. And I'm not sure why we are waiting Aussie Swissy for FOMC statement. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But generally, the market does go into a stall situation before the Fed talks. And maybe that's what we're seeing here right now. And that's something that annoys me, because that is a tradable bar without question. Let me just have a look at the rewards. See, there's a big reward available, and that's why this is so appealing. And that's why always these are so appealing. Once you're peeling off, once you're coming off the top of a range and you do get that lower high, you've even got a lower low here as well. The potential reward is quite amazing. So if you put your entry, let's say you put your entry there, and your stop loss, even be a little bit conservative and go to there, or if you want to be ultra conservative, go to there. 45 pips, your first take profit probably needs to be there, and that's why this stop loss would be better. It'd be just under half of your risk. Your second take profit would probably need to be down here, which is 3 times your risk. And the potential reward is right down here, which is nearly 7 times your risk. So that's why that's appealing to me. So it wouldn't be a silly trade just to put that in the market. Now, look, why do I talk about it? Let's just do it. I'll give you the levels. It'll be underneath this bar here at 66.82. So this is what? Aussie Swissy. Short 66.82. Stop loss, we will put it where that green line is, which is 67.09. TP1. All the sixes. 6666. I'll even give you TP2. 6609. And that should do you. Okay, so here's how I manage this. If I get a TP1, actually I'll put it in the market so I don't forget. Sell stop. 6682. And stop loss is 6709. Okay, done. Happy days with that one. Wow, we're out of time. Where does that go? So sorry guys, that's it for you on the YouTube section of this particular program. Hang on, Shukri's question. Any implication on Biden admin saying Swiss and Vietnamese are currency manipulators? China is not. Don't tell me he's joined the party. He's turning into Donald already. My goodness. China is not in the list. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know he'd said that, Shukri, to be honest. So yeah, I'd have to have a think about that. But yeah, he's turning into Trump already. My God. Okay, thank you guys on the YouTube and Facebook sessions. We'll catch up with you tomorrow when Ash will be back, and we'll actually be the last show for the year. So we'll have a little bit of a celebration around that. Thank you, Mai. We'll tune out now and go on.